Hello, this is Spikeydrummer, and it is great to talk to you again. Okay, today we're going to talk about a really simple concept, but I feel like it's kind of important and relatively overlooked sometimes. The power of the cowbell. However, it's not the cowbell you're thinking of, the triangular cowbell. It's the bell on your ride, so I don't know if it's really called cowbell or not, but I wanted to say cowbell. It's bell. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is note the difference between the sound of the bell and ride. Bell. Ride. Okay, as much as that really does not sound interesting, you can do some really cool stuff with that. So, anyways, I'm going to show you how to make your bell and ride clash and collide in a romantic love circle and make it sound really cool. So, anyways, the basic movement that we're gonna make is a edge tip. We talked about this in one of our first videos. It's the edge tip technique, edge on the hi-hat tip. If you want to go back and look, then go back and look. This is your chance. Okay, the only difference between the edge tip technique, which is edge on the side of the hi-hat and then tip on the middle of the hi-hat, is you're going to replace the edge of the hi-hat for the bell. Okay, and then tip on the ride. So you're going to get something very similar to this. Okay, surprisingly, this small variation can make your drum beats sound like they have a whole lot more balls, and let me explain what I mean by that. Pretty basic beat, right? Add the edge tip in there with the bell and the ride. Okay, cool, huh? Alright, now the other thing that we can do with that, since you've got the edge tip down, believe me, it's one of those things where it sounds really easy, but when you're sitting down trying to learn it, it gets kind of difficult. So, it's going to take a little repetition, but there's nothing super special about this. It's not very hard at all. Once you get it once, then you're going to have it for the rest of eternity, and you're going to use it in all sorts of different things. And seriously, you can use it on the hi-hat, you can use it on the ride, the crashes, yeah, anyway, so let's get started with the other thing you can do, which is the exact opposite of this, tip edge. We're just going to replace that in the beat. It's going to be tip edge. As much as that sounds the same, when you put that in a beat and you play it according to the time that it's in, it sounds totally different. So, here we go. Same beat, just changing the bell and tip around, okay? It throws a bit more of a groove in there. It's not quite so straightforward. And that's the difference between off time and on time. Your bell is on time on the first one because it's the bell tip, bell tip, bell tip, bell tip. Your bell being off time is going to give it kind of a groove. As simple as this may sound, it's going to change your idea of time. See, when you're playing drums, you're constantly developing your sense of time and rhythm. So when you're doing this, you're going to develop a whole new sense of time that you didn't know you had because you're playing this bell tip, and tip bell, which is going to really develop your sense of off time and on time. You know, groove and not groove. Groove and straightforward. So, anyways, when you're doing this, pay attention to the grooves that you're making and try to come up with something with it. And I'll show you what I did with my groove on the tip bell. So, okay, so this is just kind of improv-ish. I'm just sitting here and coming up with stuff with the tip bell. So. Okay, so you're going to ask me, how do you transition between bell tip and tip bell? It's very simple. You just hit twice on one of the accents. Now let me explain this. If you're playing bell tip and you want to cross over to tip bell, it's going to be bell tip, bell tip, bell tip, tip, bell tip, bell tip, bell. That's all you got to do is just hit 2 on one, and then you're already on track to shifting back into the bell tip. So. Sounds easy right here on paper, but then try to do it in a drum beat. It's a little more difficult. chance to work with some pretty incredible and interesting grooves to invent on your own. So, anyway, here's an example.